is Christina. I'm at christina.flows on Instagram, and today we're doing a flow for better sleep. So many of my students always ask me what we can do to either stay asleep longer or sleep better through our yoga practice, and today we're focusing on just that. So we're taking ourselves through a simple flow to help us relax, release through the physical body, and then hopefully find a little bit more rest when we do fall asleep. So today we're focusing on 3 things. We're going to open the hips, forward fold, and work on twisting to help move energy around and find a little bit more space. So to begin, we're just going to start in a nice comfortable seat. You can either be on your sits bones, crossed at the ankles. If you'd like to be on your shins or place anything under your sits bones that feels a little more comfortable, please feel free. Take your hands somewhere on your legs, turn your palms to face the ceiling, and then softly close your eyes. Now let's just take a few big breaths in and out through the nose. Maybe releasing any excess air through the mouth. And just start to let yourself ground down here. Maybe you roll through your shoulders if your upper body feels tight. Notice if you're leaning slightly forward, see if you can lean back just slightly so you find a little bit more evenness through your sits bones. And then just let your breath be natural. So a lot of us may find that when we start our practice, our breath is a little short. It feels kind of trapped in the chest. It might feel a little tight. So just take a few rounds of breath to just come to this space as you are. Letting the breath start to lengthen and just releasing whatever you don't need right now. We often come to the mat with lots of thoughts, lots of feelings, so just use this time to release the things that you don't need right now. We can always come back to those thoughts or those emotions, but for the time being, see if we can just create some separation. Now let's take another 5 to 10 rounds of breath here. Letting that breath be nice and full as you inhale. Fill your belly, your ribs, your chest. And as you exhale, just letting that breath go, softening, finding groundedness through your sits bones. And start to feel yourself settle. The practice of yoga is many different things, but the movement part of this practice helps us to release and move energy so that we can come back to this stillness, back to our seats, and find a little bit more ease through our minds. So be gentle with yourself, be patient. Let's take 3 more rounds. Last round of breathing here. And then as you inhale, let's just flutter the eyes open. And we're going to transition onto all fours tabletop position for cat and cow. So you're going to take your palms, bring them under your shoulders, and you want to take your knees directly under your hips. Okay? And just going to take a moment here to settle into this shape. If you need to rock gently side to side, just kind of find that place that feels good. Right? Any movement that feels good is always welcome here in the practice. So maybe you just kind of circle through your hips, bring yourself around into semicircles or full circles. And then take that circle in the other direction. And just observe where you have sensation. Now start to come back to stillness in that tabletop, so palms under shoulders, knees under hips. And let's take a few rounds of cat and cow pose. So for your inhalation, drop your torso, lift your gaze, pull your shoulders back, cow. And as you exhale, round through your back, tuck the chin to the chest, push the mat away, cat. Good. Take a few more of these with your breath. So each inhalation brings you into that cow pose. Drop the torso, lift the gaze, pull the shoulders away from the ears. And as you exhale, push the mat away, round through the back. Good. Let's take another 5 to 10 of these movements nice and slow. And try to let your breath facilitate your movement. Sometimes there's a tendency for us to want to rush through these kind of softer and slower postures. But for today, we want to focus on moving slowly so that our body has a chance to relax. Give yourself a few more rounds. Maybe you feel a little more space begin to open through your back body. Maybe you feel that expansion through your chest. Take 3 more rounds. Each time finding a little bit more depth. Good, 1 more round. And as you find your next inhale, come back to your nice neutral tabletop position. Spine is neutral. Toes will begin to tuck under, and then you're going to lift through your knees, lift your tailbone to the sky, downward facing dog. Okay? If you need to walk your hands a little more forward, you can. You can always keep a bend in your knees if your legs feel tight. And then release through your head. So let your head hang heavy. Begin to just pedal out through your knees. So lifting one heel and then the other. Keep a nice bend through your elbows. And see if you can gaze towards your navel. Good. Press up and out of your palms, rooting down to each knuckle. And think about broadening through your chest. Draw your upper arm bones in, make space through your upper back. And then find stillness, however that looks for you. So whether the knees are bent, whether the legs are straight, it does not matter where your heels are. Keep your neck long, your head is heavy. Take 5 full breaths here. Energetically, just feeling the sides of your body lengthen. Feeling that heat that comes with stillness, right? Even as we're still working, we're still finding energy in the body. We call this tapas in yoga, heat. Take another 2 rounds of breath. Good. 1 last breath in. And let it go through your mouth, breath out. Now start to shift onto your tiptoes, bend deeply through your knees, and then just slowly make your way to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold, okay? Keep the knees nice and bent, and then begin to grab onto your elbows. Let your torso hang over the legs, okay? Head is heavy, neck is long. You can be still, or you can just gently sway side to side. But when we find these forward folds, we start to turn on our parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the brain that makes us feel at ease. So you want this to feel good. Let yourself hang out here for another 3 or 4 breaths. However you like, whether that's in stillness or if you're adding that little swaying motion, last 2 breaths. And then if you're swaying, just come back to stillness. Release your elbows, and as you inhale, start to ragdoll, coming to stand. So you're just slowly rolling your way up. Your head is the last thing to stack. Palms will turn forward. We'll take a nice big breath in, big breath out. Good. Now as you inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Bring your palms to touch. And as you exhale, bend your knees, fold forward, hinging at your hip crease, okay? Your hands can always be on the earth, or you can take your hands to your shins. And as you inhale, take a halfway lift. So lift through the torso. Take your shoulders away from your ears. Weight comes into your toes. And as you exhale, fold at the hip crease. Hook onto the elbows, ragdoll. Just 2 breaths this time, however you like. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. Good. Now release those elbows. Bend through your knees so that you can bring your fingertips or your palms onto the mat. And then you're going to take a big step with that right foot toward the back of your mat. Okay? Walk your hands back under your shoulders and then release your right knee down to your mat. Okay? You can keep your toes tucked or you can untuck them depending on what feels most natural for your body. And then notice your shoulders want to kind of creep forward. So pull them back, think wide through your chest. Keep your right hand under your right shoulder. So you can always add a block. You can be on your palm or on your finger pads. And as you inhale, take your left arm and take it high to the sky. Okay, you want to press up and out of that right hand, soften your shoulders, and feel your torso rotate. You want your left fingers to reach up toward the ceiling, and you want to make space through your chest. Good. Let's take 5 full breaths here. Energetically pull your left hip back. Breath is nice and full, last 3 breaths. Keep hugging that left knee into your center, nice and strong through that foot. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. Good, now take your left hand and bring it to the instep of your left foot, okay? You're gonna take that right foot and you're gonna pivot it over to the left. Good. Now a couple options. Either keep your left hand where it is or take your left forearm to the top of your left leg. Press into your forearm or to your hand and then start to reach your right hand high to the sky. Okay, so we're opening through that left hip. If this is too much, bring your hands to your heart center and then just work at pressing that left knee out to the left, okay? So you choose what feels good for your body. You want to keep the shoulders soft. Press the left knee out wide. Open your chest, maybe lift your gaze toward the ceiling. Good. If you feel wobbly, press into that left big toe and take another 3 breaths here. Getting into the hips, where we hold a lot of our tension, so we want to soften through that area. 1 last breath in. 1 last breath out. Good. Now take your right hand down to your mat. And then you're going to release your left hand down to your mat. Bring your right foot back to neutral, okay? Now you're going to shift your hips back, straighten your left leg, walk your hands under your shoulders for a half split Ardha Hanuman, okay? It doesn't matter if your left knee is bent or your left leg is totally straight. We don't really care. We're just working to open the hamstring, okay? You want your right knee under your right hip. Right toes can tuck for a kickstand, or you can untuck if that feels better, okay? Hands are under the shoulders, and you're pulling your shoulders back, okay? So not rounding, but pull the shoulders away from the ears and point your left big toe toward the ceiling, okay? Draw your left hip back just slightly, and then see if you can gently pull it down. See how that engages the hip and makes a little more length through your hamstring. Good. Let's take another 4 breaths here. Maybe you start to fold a little deeper, maybe not. You can always bend the elbows, come closer. You can always stay, okay? Last 2 breaths. Make a little bit more length in that left hamstring. Last breath in. Last breath out. Good. Now as you inhale, rebend your left knee, walk your hands to frame that front foot, okay? Pick up your right knee and you're going to step back downward facing dog. So take your left foot to meet your right, tilt your hips toward the sky, okay? Take 3 full breaths, either in stillness or movement, however you like. But again, neck is long, head is heavy, gaze is toward the belly button. Take 1 more big breath in, 1 more big breath out. Now start to make your way to your tiptoes, bend your knees, and then walk yourself to the top of the mat, forward fold. Hook onto the elbows, ragdoll. Bend through the knees if you want to sway, or just be still. Let your spine lengthen, be heavy here, 4 full breaths. Let your mind calm. Then just notice if you have any thoughts or sensations. See if you can find a little bit of distance from them. It's natural for us to think and kind of wander, so be gentle with yourself. Take 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. Good, release the elbows, and as you inhale, just ragdoll to stand. Nice and slow. Head is the last thing to come up. Palms turn forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up and open. And as you exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. Place the hands on the earth or on your shins. Take a halfway lift. Inhale, drawing the shoulders back. And as you exhale, fold at the hip crease. Bring hands onto the earth. And then step that left foot towards the back of the mat, okay? Walk the hands so that they're under the shoulders, and then bring the left knee down to your mat, okay? Again, left toes can stay tucked, or you can untuck them, whatever feels good. Left hand will stay under your left shoulder, and as you inhale, then reach the right hand high to the sky, okay? Those right fingertips are reaching up, and the torso is turning just slightly. You're hugging that right knee in towards your center, and you're drawing your right hip back, okay? So often it kind of rolls forward. Just a teeny tiny movement as you pull it back, and then soften your shoulders. Good. Let's take another 3 breaths here. Reach up with those right fingertips. Open your chest. Good, one more big breath in. Good, big breath out. Now take that right hand to the instep of your right foot. You're gonna untuck your left toes if they're not already, and then you're gonna pivot that back foot over to the right, okay? Now right hand can stay where it is, or take your right forearm to the top of your right leg, push into that forearm, and then reach the left hand high to the sky. Okay, again, if this is a bit much, just bring your hands to your heart center. Work at opening the right hip by pressing that right knee out wide. Okay, your variation. Press deeply into that right big toe for stability, and take your shoulders away from your ears. Make length through that left arm. Make space through that right hip. Take another 3 breaths. Good. Nice and full. Feel your hips soften just a little bit more. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. Good. Now left hand down to your mat. Bring your left leg back to neutral. Release your right hand to frame the front foot, okay? Rock the hips back. Walk the hands under the shoulders as you straighten your right leg half split, okay? So again, the left toes can stay tucked or untuck if that feels better, but you want your left knee in line with your left hip, okay? Right toes point toward the ceiling. Shoulders draw away from the ears, and you're gonna take that right hip, draw it back, and then see if you can pull it down just slightly. See how that changes the stretch through the leg, okay? Let's take another 3 breaths here. Maybe you bend the elbows, bring the torso a little closer, but you want a flat back, so no rounding just to get there. Instead, lengthen the spine. Good. Take 1 more big breath in. 1 more big breath out. Good. Now rebend your right knee, hands come to frame the right foot. Tuck under the left toes if they're not already. Lift the left knee, and then step the feet together, downward facing dog, hips to the sky. Be still or find movement. 3 full breaths here in this dog. Tailbone tilting up, arms hug in, and the head hangs heavy as we release. Take 2 more breaths here. Let the breath be full. Last inhale. Last exhale. Good, now shift to your toes. Bend your knees, and then walk yourself to the top of the mat, forward fold. Hook onto the elbows, feet are under the hips as you find that ragdoll shape. Knees can be bent. You can sway or just be still. Neck is long, head is heavy. 3 more breaths. Let this feel nice and easy as you soften. Good. Now release your elbows. Bend your knees as much as you need for your hands to come to the ground, and then heel toe your feet together so your big toes touch, okay? Now you're gonna shift onto your tiptoes. Bring your hands just slightly forward. Lift your heels and just come down into a little toe stand, okay? I'm gonna back up just slightly. So heels are lifted, and then you're gonna separate your knees so that they come out wide, okay? Little butterfly shape. Now you're gonna walk your hands forward, and you're gonna let your head and neck just kind of fall between the arms, okay? It doesn't matter how low you go, but you want your head and neck to hang heavy so that you can find space across the upper back, and you release through the hips, okay? You can can always come down to your palms if that's accessible. You can always stay on your finger pads. It does not matter, again, how low you go. But we're here for a few breaths, so let's just soften. Let this feel nice and easy. Take another 3 full breaths. Maybe tuck the chin toward the chest. Can you make a little more space in your upper back? Last 2 breaths. Last breath in. Last breath out. Good, now walk your hands back under your shoulders or slightly forward if you need the space. You're going to help the knees together, and then you're just going to come down onto your seat. So however you need to get there, with or without your hands, and then just slide the legs forward, okay? Give yourself a moment here to just kind of move whatever's under you away. And then flex through your feet, so toes point up. Notice if you're kind of rolling back, and if you are, take a blanket or a pillow under your sits bones so that your spine is long, your chest draws forward, and your shoulders are soft, okay? Now keep your left leg long, bend your right knee, okay? And then take your right hand behind your right hip, okay? Now notice that right shoulder kind of wants to slide forward. We want to draw it back. The torso is going to turn, and we're going to take that left hand, and we're going to hook the left elbow around the right knee, okay? If you start to roll back, use your right hand and your right arm to push your chest forward, and then draw your right shoulder back, okay? Your left toes are still pointing up toward the ceiling. Your shoulders are softening, and your gaze may stay neutral or it may gaze over that right shoulder, okay? Let's take 5 breaths here. Gradually turning the torso, no force. You can always lower down to your palm if that feels good, or stay on your finger pads. Last 3 breaths. One last big breath in. Big breath out. Good. Now as you inhale, gently release that left arm. Bring the hand back to the earth. Slide your right leg to meet your left, okay? Now hands are beside the hips. As you inhale, roll your shoulders up and back, take your chest forward, okay? So my spine is long. You're gonna reach your hands up and overhead, and as you exhale, you're gonna hinge at your hip crease, and you're just gonna reach towards your feet, okay? So it does not matter if you're taking your shins, maybe your ankles, maybe you do catch your feet, okay? But we wanna hinge at the hip crease, so as we inhale, lift halfway, take your shoulders away from your ears, and as you exhale, hinge at your hip crease to fold over the legs, okay? So don't round through the upper back, but see if you can keep your spine long, even if your fold is a little bit less. Soften your shoulders, and just be here for 5 breaths. If you feel like your neck is a little tight, bring your gaze just slightly down so that you release through the back of the neck. Keep the feet active. If this is a bit too much on the legs, you can always bend at the knees and then bring yourself over the legs, okay? So this is fine as well. Just find what feels good for your body. Let's take another 3 breaths together. Nice and full as we soften. Last 2 breaths. Good, last breath in. Last breath out. Now as you inhale, just roll back up. Take a moment to be still, okay? This time the right leg will stay where it is. You're gonna bend the left knee, okay? You're gonna take your left hand behind your left hip, and you wanna turn the torso just slightly. Keep hugging the left knee into your center. Take your right arm and take that right elbow crease around the left knee, okay? If you notice that you're rolling back, try to use that left arm and hand to push yourself forward, straighten your spine, okay? Draw your left shoulder back. Gaze can be neutral, or gaze over that left shoulder, okay? Keep flexing that right foot. Let's take another 4 breaths here. The torso slowly turns, no force. Use your breath to make space. Last 2 breaths. Good, last breath in. Last breath out. Now as you inhale, just release your twist. Bring your right hand beside your right hip. Slide the left leg long, okay? Now you're gonna walk your hands just slightly behind your hips. You can either have your fingers pointing forward or hands out toward the side if that feels better on your wrists. You're just gonna bend at the knees. Feet are gonna be even with your hips, okay? You're gonna press into your hands and feet coming into altar pose. So you're just gonna lift the hips. Keep your gaze neutral, or your gaze can fall back if that feels good on your neck, okay? We want the hips to be level with the torso. So notice if you're sagging, and you want your knees to be mostly over your ankles. So you might need to walk your feet just a little further forward so that you can lift through your hips, okay? Take your shoulders back, so open through the front of the chest. Let's take 3 more breaths. Engage through your glutes. 1 last big breath in. 1 last breath out. Good, lower the seat down to the mat. Heel toe the feet together so big toes touch. And then you're gonna wrap the arms around the knees. Try to bring the forehead toward the knees, round into a little ball. Make space through your upper back. Let's take 3 full breaths. One last breath in. 1 last breath out. Good, as you inhale, just unclasp the arms. And then lengthen your legs long onto your mat. Okay, we're gonna do 1 more series of stretches for the hamstrings. So we're gonna start by bringing the right leg out wide to the right. And you're gonna take your left foot, bring the sole of the foot to the right thigh, okay? And then just pick yourself up and try to reposition your torso so it's more over the right leg, okay? Right toes point toward the ceiling. And just like you did, inhale, reach your arms nice and high. And as you exhale, hinge at the hip crease, reach towards your foot. So whether you grab your shin, your ankle, your foot, it does not matter, okay? We're here to just make a little more space, not only through that right hamstring, but also to release the low back, okay? Now if your shoulders are really kind of hiked toward the ears, trying to take them away so that you find softness, and then try to bring yourself a little closer to the leg, okay? It does not matter how close you are. If it's uncomfortable for your left knee, if your left knee is really lifted, bring a blanket or a pillow under it for a little more support, and then adjust your fold, okay? So do what you gotta do so that it feels good in your body. We're all different, so we all need different things. Let's take another 3 breaths on this side. Good, last 2 breaths. Lengthen the torso, last breath in. Good, last breath out. Now as you inhale, walk those hands back under your shoulders. And then you're just gonna take your left foot out wide. And then you're gonna bring the right sole of your foot to your left inner leg, okay? Same thing, just position your torso a little more over that left leg. If your right knee is really lifted, bring a blanket or a pillow under it for more support, okay? Lift your arms, inhale. And as you exhale, hinge at the hip crease, reach towards your foot. So grab the shin, the ankle, the foot, okay? Wherever you need to be, each side feels different, so you might notice this side has less or maybe even more space. Shoulders are soft as they draw away from the ears. Left toes point toward the ceiling, okay? Again, you can always keep a bend in that knee as well if it's a bit too much, okay? So lots of different options for your body. Just choose what feels good for you. There's no right or wrong way to do yoga, so if you need to adjust, if something feels much better than what I'm suggesting, by all means, please do it, okay? Let's take another 3 breaths here. Soften wherever you are. One more big breath in. Good, big breath out. As you find your next inhale, just take those hands under the shoulders. Leave the left leg where it is, and then take the right leg out wide so your legs are in a V shape, okay? Now if you're rolling back, take a blanket under your sits bones so that your torso lifts, and you want your hips to kind of roll forward rather than back, okay? Now toes are gonna point up toward the ceiling, and again, you can always bend through your knees if you need a little more space, okay? You're just gonna walk your hands forward as far as feels good on your body, okay? There's no need to strive to bring your chest to meet the floor. I've never been there myself, so don't rush it, okay? Now, the knees can be bent if this feels good, or the legs can straighten if that feels better, okay? Wherever you are though, the feet are active so that your knees are safe, okay? Now you might just start by walking your hands a little more forward, and then just stay, okay? Find that place that feels good. And then try to soften through your upper body, okay? Soften your neck and head. So if you're holding your head up, which we often kind of do when we tense the neck, I want you to think about looking down so that your neck lengthens and you release that tension. We're looking to soften through the hip flexors, soften through the hamstrings, soften through the hips, okay? We're gonna stay here for about 10 full breaths. This is our last fold before we come into some breathing, and then we'll take some meditation to just bring everything together, okay? You can do what you need to do with your hands, okay? You can always be on your forearms, you can gather your hands together, it does not matter. Wherever you find yourself, let's take another 6 full breaths here. Breath is nice and deep, and particularly in this pose, if you find yourself having thoughts or you're drifting, that's okay, that's a normal reaction. But try to recenter yourself to come back to this moment, to kind of focus on what you're doing now, right? Which is breathing and being still. Let's take another 4 breaths here. And soften just a little bit more, shoulders draw back. Feel yourself softening, last 2 breaths. Last breath in. Last breath out. Now, softly and slowly, walk your hands back under your shoulders, okay? Take your hands under your knees, and then just help the legs together. Start to cross at the ankles, okay? Take a moment here to roll your shoulders around a couple times. If you want to take a twist, you can twist in either direction, just to kind of rotate the torso if that feels good, or you might just be still, okay? Whatever you need. If there's other movements that feel more appropriate for your body, please take those. Good. Now come back to stillness in your seat. Couple options. You can stay with the ankles crossed. If you want to come onto your shins, you're more than welcome to be there as well. Again, you can always have a blanket or a block or a pillow under your seat. Okay, we're going to come into some pranayama, alternate nostril breathing called Nadi Shodhana. And why we're doing this is to bring our energy more into a place that feels centered. So in yoga, we think of each side of the body having different qualities. So there's the sun side, which is that really fiery, energetic side that makes us feel awake. Sometimes if we have too much of it, we might feel anxious. And then we have that moon side that is that nice cooling side that makes us feel calm, it makes us feel sleepy. It can also make us feel a little bit lazy if we're out of balance. So we're gonna even out our energy. That way we can sit for meditation for a few minutes and then find a little bit more rest. So if you've not done Nadi Shodhana before, it's really good if you have congestion. And it can also sometimes feel a little overwhelming when we're learning because we are shifting energy. So at any time, if it becomes too overwhelming, you can always let it go and just take nice deep breaths. So whatever hand is your dominant hand, you choose right or left. I like to do it with an L shape. You can also do this with your ring finger and your thumb, but my hand feels a little weird doing that, so I just make the L shape. So what you're going to do with your dominant hand is you're going to close your right nostril, and you're going to take a nice big inhalation through your left nostril. When you get to the top of that inhalation, you're going to hold it. You're going to plug your left nostril, release your right nostril, and exhale out the right, okay? We're going to repeat that for about 20 to 30 breaths. Your eyes can be closed or soft, or you can keep them open, whatever feels good for you. So taking that hand, make the L shape, and then plug the right nostril. Take a nice big inhale through your left nostril. Now when you get to the top of that inhalation where you can't take in any more breath, hold. You're going to plug your left nostril, and then you're going to exhale out the right. Good. Now when you get to the bottom of that exhalation, you're going to hold. And then you're going to plug the right nostril, and then inhale through the left. Good. Now when you get to the top of that inhalation, hold, plug the left nostril, and then exhale out the right. Good. Bottom of the exhalation, plug the right nostril, inhale through the left. So just repeat this for the next 15 to 20 breaths. And we're focusing more on drawing the energy into the left nostril, which is the moon side, to help us feel a little more centered, a little calmer. Think about another 10 to 15 breaths. Last 5 rounds. Now when you get to the bottom of that exhalation, release both nostrils, take a big breath in, and then exhale through your mouth. Soften your eyes if they're not already, and then bring the backs of the hands to rest upon the legs. You can stay here, or bring your index and thumbs to meet in a mudra that connects the body, the breath, and the mind. Find a steadiness through your seat. Soften through your shoulders. And just breathe. If you're new to meditation, it's totally normal for your thoughts to wander in and out. So be gentle if this is your first time here. Like everything, meditation is a practice, so it takes time. But when you get distracted, start to come back to your breath. Maybe you start to just envision that breath as it draws from your tailbone, along your spine into your chest. And as you exhale, just envisioning that breath sinking from your chest, down your spine, into your tailbone. And we'll be here for the next 20 to 30 breaths. soften through your brows, soften your shoulders. And let your mind just work itself out. When you start to wander, come back to that breath. Soften the face. Take another 15 rounds of breath here. Last few rounds of breath, stay focused. And with your next inhalation, take a nice full breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Open through your eyes. Keep your arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, just find a gentle bow forward, placing the hands wherever they need to be. Maybe just give yourself a little sway side to side, nice and slow. Take a couple breaths here. And then walk those hands under your shoulders, nice and slow. Bring your hands to your heart center, close your eyes. Bow your chin to your chest, honor yourself, your practice, your breath. And bring your thumbs to your third eye center, that space just above the brows. As you honor the light within yourself, honor the light within us all. As we bow together in gratitude, namaste. When you're ready, as you inhale, just come back to your seat. Take a moment to just be here, move slowly, and just notice. Notice your breath, your thoughts, even the way your physical body feels. And this is always a practice. Nothing comes without effort, nothing comes easily. So come back to this, right? Move slower, make your time and your movements meaningful. As always, thank you for practicing with me. I'm Christina. If you feel inclined, please follow me here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram at christina.flows. If you'd like to donate, my Venmo information is below. Otherwise, I'll be here every Tuesday offering new and free flows for everyone. And if there's ever anything that you'd like, please let me know. Shoot me an email. Otherwise, enjoy and rest well.